Good day, everyone. I'm Erwin Simon Wadan. So I'm going to discuss today the hash functions and message authentication. So under these topics, we have cryptography hash functions, which are MD5, SHA-1, 2, and 3, and also we have HMAC, which is hash-based message authentication code, and then digital signatures, which are RSA, DSA, ECDSA, and certificate authorities and PKI. These last two remaining topics will be discussed Miss by the other presenters. So I will be discussing only cryptographic hash functions and HMAC. So what is cryptography or cryptographic hash function? So a cryptographic hash function is an algorithm that takes an input or message and produces a fixed size string of bytes, typically a digest that is unique to each unique input. So these functions are widely used in security applications such as digital signatures, message integrity verification, password hashing, and more. So hashing are commonly used now these days, no, especially in these are applied in securities. Like for example, in our passwords, in our accounts, or in digital signatures, just like that was used in the Miro, no, before they're going to input the results. So they're going to apply a digital signatures of each chairman's. No? So those are examples on how cryptographic hash has been used uh, in today's technology. No. So these are some properties of cryptographic hash function. Wait. Let me check first if I have start recording. Okay. So first property of a cryptographic hash function is deterministic. So deterministic, the same input always results in the same hash. So what does it mean? So if you have a hash hello or hello world, so today or bisan pa og ugma or karon or pila pa na ka years ang molabay, you will always get the same result. Or pag iato na siyang i-hash ang hello, so same lang gud gyapon ng iyahang output, no? Then why it matters? Nganong kinahanglan man na same lang siya ang input pag atong i-hash. Bisan pag ato siyang i-run kapila, ka million times, same lang gud ang output. Nganong importante man na? So it enables consistent verification. So for example, si Juan is nag-send siya message kay Bob and then nag-apply po siya hashing. So Bob must get the same hash pag iyan na siyang i-verify. Next is fast computation. So the hash function should compute quickly. Excuse me. Hash should be computed efficiently on all kinds of hardware. So the algorithm must be fast enough to handle real-time workloads like validating transactions or authenticating logins. No? Dapat paspas siya. Like for example, mag-login ta. So kinahanglan paspas pod ang iyahang computation para ma-compare to niya ang iyang password na nakahash sa database ug ang iyang gilagin nga password. So dapat paspas siya para pod users is dili sila ano ba kumaga maumay. Then however, some specialized hashes for passwords like Bcrypt or Scrypt or Argon intentionally slow down intentionally kanang iyang computation is hinay tungod siguro, I mean, dili siguro. Gi purpose, purpose nga nung hina is para pod ang attackers is dako siya resistance sa mga sa mga brute force attacks. So, ang paspas is ideal siya for mga verifications, and then ang slow by design is for password storage. So, malito ko example like ganyan, sorry. Then we have pre-image resistance. So, given a hash value h of x, it should be difficult to find x. So, unsay pasabot ani? So, this protects data from being reverse engineered, no? And also it prevents attackers from receiving or retrieving original messages even if they intercept the hash, no? Although ilan na intercept ang hash, maglisod sila og decode sa message, no? So mo siyang pasabot sa pre-image resistance. So iyang usage is for storing passwords securely even if someone gets the hash, so they shouldn't be able to reconstruct the original password. Next is we have small changes produce large differences, or manang gitawag nato nga avalanche effect, no? So a minor change in input significantly alters the hash output. So for example natay hello, tapos ang hello nato is kulang siya og letter L, isa lang ang L. So pag output ana sa hash, lahi na pud ang iyahang hash nga output or digest, no? Diba sa first nato nga gi-mention is deterministic ang hash, meaning pag mauna siya imong input, same lang gid ang iyang digest. So pag nakagi-change, so mo to siyang maka-cause og avalanche effect, or small changes produce large differences, meaning pag naay na-alter dito sa message, lahi na pud ang iyahang digest or ang hash niya nga output. Then we have collision resistance. So it should be computationally infeasible to find two different inputs that produce the same hash. So while collisions must exist, since output space is finite, so a good hash makes it impractical to find any. So it protects against forgery in digital signatures and certificates. Pero there are some hashing algorithms nga kanang naa siya ay kanang na siya ay collision, kumbaga na siya ay nahanap na mga collisions, no? So mao to number one ani is ang MD5 kay tungod karan siya, and also the SHA-1. Then we have second pre-image resistance. So given an input x, it should be hard to find a different input y such that h of x is equal to h of y. So, ang usage aning second pre-image resistant is that for file integrity. So if a malicious file has been or has the same hash as the original, your antivirus might not detect it. So dapat ang hash is dapat na siya second pre-image resistance. Then next we are going to proceed with MD5 algorithm. So MD5 algorithm is a cryptographic hash function algorithm that takes the message as input of any length and changes it into a fixed length message of 16 bytes. So MD5 algorithm stands for the message digest algorithm. So MD5 was developed in 1991 by Ronald Revest as an improvement of MD4. So with advanced security purposes, the output of MD5 or digest size is always 128 bits. So this is an overview of how MD5 algorithm process an message. No? So MD5 follows the following steps. So now step 1 we have append padding bits. So for example, natay message nga string which is hello. So first niya is i-convert to binary and then mag-add siya or mag-append siya og padding bits. Meaning mag-add siya og zeros until ang result is moabot na siya og 40 bits. So determine the length. So the input is 40 bits. I mean 40 bits or 5 bytes times 8 bits. So add 1 bit to append a single 1 bit to the end of the message. So ang equivalent na ning hello is mo ni siyang binary sa H, E, L, L, and then mag-add og 1. Then, pad with zeros. So, add zeros until the message length becomes congruent to 448 modulo 512. And then, after adding 1 bit, the message is 41 bits long. Then, add 448 minus 41 is equal to 407 zeros. So, after na calculation, adan din niya og 407 zeros. Then, step 2 is append length bits. So, append the original message length 40 bits as a 64-bit value. Then, the total message length is now 512 bits. Then, after that is mag-initialize siya og MD5 buffers. So, MD5 uses 4 32-bit registers initialized with predefined constants which is natay diri atong upat ka buok nga buffer A, B, C, and D. So, mao sila ang 32-bit registers. And then, for the next step is iya siyang i-process each 512-bit block. So, MD5 processes the message in 64 rounds divided into 4 groups of 16 operations, each applying bitwise operations. So, mo ni siya ang 16 operations. Then, each round uses a different function. No? Kani siya, iyan ang i-rumble-rumble. Then, after completing all rounds, it updates the state variable. So, note that each operation modifies the 4 buffers nga katong ato ang A, B, and C of D. Then, for the last step, is iyan na din i-produce ang final nga hash. So, morning ang equivalent sa hello. So, ato na siyang i-try. I have already a pre-made na manual code. So, I have downloaded this in GitHub. Where is it? MD5 manual. So, available ni siya sa GitHub, no? Actually, this is in Python. Ako lang ni siya gi-copy sa GitHub. May nakita nga ano nga kaning example nga manual coding. So, step 1, mo to siyang iyahang i-append. And then, for step 2, is iya i-append ang 64-bit version of the length of the original message. Then for step 3, initialize the digest buffer manatong katong upat ka buffer nato. And then try nato run. Enter nato text na. Ito example nato nga message, hello nga naka-small tanan. O same basic. Okay. So I have a word na hello and then ang iyahang digest is or ang message hash niya is mo ni siya. So bisag kapilaw na nato siya run. Let's run again. Same lang gyapon ang iyahang output ana. It's because nana siya dito sa property sa ato ang hash function nga deterministic. So same po diri as ato ang presentation. So we have the final nga hash. Next is the SHA encryption. So SHA encryption or secure hash algorithm is a set of cryptographic hash functions ensuring secure data hashing for digital signatures, certificates, and cryptocurrencies. So SHA-1, though widely used in the past, is now considered weak and has been replaced by SHA-2, which offers more robust security with versions like SHA-256, SHA and SHA-512. SHA-3, a newer variant, uses advanced structure for enhanced security. SHA-1, so mo ni siya ang under sa katong siyang algorithm, we have SHA-1. Is a 160-bit hash function that evolved out of work done on MD5 algorithm. Originally, the SHA-1 hash was created by National Security Agency or NSA to be part of their digital signature algorithm. However, cryptographic weaknesses were discovered in SHA-1 and the standard was no longer approved for most cryptographic uses after 2010. Now, as SHA-1 no longer meets today's cybersecurity standards, SHA-2 has become the most used function. So again, I have a example na code ani sa SHA-1. SHA-1. SHA-1 na manual. So ingon ani ang iyahang itsura sa code no nga manual, but actually if Python nga to ang gamiton, pwede na ta maggamit og library sa pagmaggamit aning mga cryptographic na mga algorithm. No, dili na ni siya ingon ani. Dapat ko example sa katong naggamit na ta og katong tanan. Katonang tanan naggamit na tag library. Dili na siya mao. Dili na siya mao. Ilgamal. Kani siya. Kani nga library. Hash lib. No? So, kana siya nga library, pwede na nato gamiton nga library. Nga dili na ta mag-manual at katong manual computation nga i-implement nato sa coding. But, for the sake of kanang education para kabalo taon sa internal workings sa diyang mga uh, cryptographic algorithm, so we must explore this kaning manual na code. No, actually dinownload ko na lang pud ni siya sa sa GitHub gyapon. So if you want a copy of this, pwede ra pud nako ni siyang i-share, just kanang message. So let's try to have a text. SHA-1 manual. Let's try again. Hello. Then mo ni siyang iyahang output, no? Pag mag-run na pud ta na outro, let's try if same lang gyapon ang iyahang output. It's because again katong sa tuang properties sa tuang cryptographic na algorithm nga na ang iyang property is deterministic. So same lang siya og output bisag kapilan pa nimo siya og run. Next, we have SHA-2. So SHA-2 was developed shortly after the discovery of cost-effective brute force attack against SHA-1. So it is a family of two similar hash functions with different block sizes known as SHA-256 and SHA-512. So the primary difference between SHA-256 and SHA-512 is the word size. So SHA-256 uses 32-byte words, whereas SHA-512 uses 64-byte words. So the most commonly used SHA function today is the SHA-256, which allows for plenty of protection at current computer processing levels. So SHA-2 has a Merkle-Damgard structure with Davis-Meyer compression function. So again, I have an example sa SHA-2, but I have implemented the SHA-256. Mo ni iyahang manual nga computation, no? Sa SHA-256, so we have the constants for SHA-256 and we have the hash initial hash values, and then napud tay mga napud siya utility functions. Again, I have downloaded this code sa GitHub lang pod, no? Kay if ato gyud siyang i-manual og coding, we have to understand the computation. Then padding the message, and also try nato siya run. Wala na ko ni siya na-edit, pero ato pwede siya actually nato i-edit na kanang mag-enter siya text. I-try lang gyapon nato ang hello nga world. Hello nga world. Okay? So mo ni siya ang iyahang output sa tuang hello nga word. Ay, hindi makita. Let's see. So try na to run again. So same lang gyapon ang iyahang output. Notice no nga nitaas ang iyahang digest kay tungod SHA-2 or SHA-256 uses 32-byte words. Then next we have SHA-3. So SHA-3 is the SHA encryption technique that is growing most quickly currently. So it differs from other SHAs by using Keccak, so a recently developed hash function. So the length supported is the same as SHA-2, but significant differences remain. So what makes SHA-3 different is its overall structure, as it is based on wide range of random function generation, which typically supports all random permutations, thereby allowing inputting or absorbing, as it is called, of any amount of data presented and outputting or squeezing the presented data. Doing so provides an output that is effectively pseudo-randomized and in theory more secure. So I have an example again sa code, no, but I use SHA-3256. Visible ba? Okay. So mo ni siya ang iyahang code. So nagya po tay constants and then rotation offsets. Napod tay helper nga function and then magpadding gyapon na siya. Pero lay ang iyang internal workings, no, pero let's try same word again. Save lang na to. Hello gyapon ang atong gamit na word. Then try na to siya run code. Then mo ni siya iyahang result. So like siya sa SHA-256 or SHA-2 nga 256. Nag-arima naman eh. Then try na to otro og run. Then same lang gyapon ang iyahang output. So dato na siyang kapilahon. Then next is the comparison of SHA-1 and SHA-2. So what is the difference? So the difference between SHA-1 and SHA-2 lies in the length or the number of bits that the message digests. So hash content contains for any given input. Thus, the more the number of bits the digest has, the more difficult it is to break it using the brute force tactics that forced evolution beyond SHA-1. So SHA-2 produces a 256-bit digest while the SHA-1 function produces 160-bit digest. So for the same input, due to its difference, SHA-1 offers weaker security as it sometimes gives the same digest for two different data values. So naa siya'y collision nga mahitabo. Then while SHA-2 produces a unique digest for every data value as large numbers of combinations are possible in it. So 2 to the power of 256 possible combinations for a 256-bit function. So how does SHA encryption work? So SHA, as the name suggests, is a hashing algorithm. So every piece of data run through the algorithm produces a unique hash that cannot be duplicated by any other piece of data. Resulting digital signatures is also unique as it depends on the hash that's generated out of the data. So for the case of the actual communication, symmetric cryptography is used, where the same key that hashes or encrypts data is used to decrypt it. So this allows for reveal of the public key without compromising the private key. So most hashing algorithms are based on the original MD4 hashing algorithm and thus share a similar method of operation. So katong na siya initialization and then mag-apply gyapon siya padding and napod siya rotation nga ginabuhat. Then the basic process behind the hashing of any type convert the input or original message into binary, then perform a set of simple functions that operate through basic standard transistor and bus processes, such as AND, XOR, NOT, rotate, and OR, and the resulting hash value is hexadecimal that is unique but meaningless. So having to perform these simple functions to properly hash a data input is part of the reason that application-specific chips or ASICs can be designed that optimizing hashing. So siya, as the name suggests, balik na siya. Then is siya secure? So SHA-1 dates back to 1995 and has been known to be vulnerable. So, to theoretical attacks since 2005. So, the U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology has banned the use of SHA-1 by U.S. federal agencies since 2010. And digital certificate authorities have not been allowed to issue SHA-1 signed certificates since January 1, 2016, although some exemptions have been made. So, next is SHA secure? So, however, despite these efforts to phase out the use of SHA-1 in some areas, the algorithm is still used fairly widely in a variety of areas, including the validation of kanang credit card transactions, electronic documents, email, PGP, GPG signatures, open source software repositories, backups, and software updates. So these exemptions present increased risk for exposure. So significant pressures has been applied to eventually move them to more secure standards. So many browsers such as Google Chrome started marking any SHA-1 signed certificates as unsafe to visitors. Then SHAs are by definition secure. So however, the level of security associated with each type has increased over time as a new iteration has been developed. So siguro in the later years na napoy bag-ong nga cryptographic functions na ma-develop. So katong mga versions like katong SHA-2 nga commonly ginagamit, mubaba po ang iyahang level of security. Kaya naman po'y mas secure nga na-develop. Then as we have discussed, so SHA-0 has more exposed vulnerabilities than SHA-1, which has more exposed vulnerabilities than SHA-2. So kinahanglan man gyud nato nga gina-improve no kay pag natin ma-develop, then later, mahanapan lang po na siya og weak spots, then we have also to improve again another version or we have to develop another version. So this trend will continue into the future as the arms race between attackers and defenders of sensitive data continues. So mura siya kanang internal war, no? So natay mga attackers nga sige kuan find og weak spot na po yung mga defenders nga sige pud siya improve sa or develop og another technology or cryptographic technology. So next we have the HMAC or hash based message authentication codes. So hash based message authentication code for or HMAC is a cryptographic authentication technique that uses a hash function and a secret key. So kani mas secure siya kay i-hash pa niya and then napagid siya secret key nga i-apply. So with HMAC, you can achieve authentication and verify that data is correct and authentic with shared secrets. So as opposed to approaches that uses signatures and asymmetric cryptography. So how HMAC works, I mean. So a pair of using this system must agree on. So naatay first ang secret keys nato. So they have a way to decode messages they get. So a secret key handles this task and it means to stay secret and hidden. Mo nang gitawag siya secret key. Then, next we have our algorithm. So, pwede ta mo gamit atong MD5, SHA-1, SHA-2, and SHA-3. And then applyan pod nato siya og secret key. So ingon ana siya ang HMAC. No, napa siya hashing algorithm nga gigamit. It's either MD5, SHA-1 or SHA-2, SHA-256. And then napagid siya kaakibat nga secret key. So when complete, the message is considered irreversible and is also resistant to hacking. So someone who intercepts this message won't be able to gain or won't be able to guess at its length. So the work renders the message content absolutely useless to anyone without a key or a code. So for example, we have our message, natay message na I would like to buy 100 units. And then napod tay secret key nga apply, which is 666. And then we also use a algorithm nga MD5. So the resulting message reads mo ni siya kani ang output, and then a dense layer of mathematics underlies what seems like an easy translation process. No? So napa na siya mga computation nga gamit. So when we attempt to display what HMAC looks like mathematically, we use diagram like this. Then understanding the math is critical for developers, no, labi na kung magbuhat ta og kanang ingon applications that are related to network security. So kinahanglan nato sabton ang underlying mathematical equations nga ani nga algorithm. So if you're asked to explain your work and the protections you offer, so a diagram can often show things better than your words ever can. So katong for example kagaida sa MD5, I have presented a diagram kung unsay kanang process kung giun sa pag-hash ang isa ka message sa MD5. But the average computer user may never need to understand the math. So to them, knowing that their messages are protected may be all they require. So for example, kanang mga normal users lang wala tay kanang wala na tay say kung unsa pay kanang kung giunsa niya pag keep nga secure nga to ang mga messages or mga passwords, no? But sa mga developers dapat kabalo. Okay. So kani siya lain pod ni siya kanang example na diri is lain pod ni siya na hashing algorithm akong gigamit ani. And also to add lang, no, wala ko'y nakita kaayo nga down repository for this kind of coding. Nagpatabang pod kog GPT, naglisod pod ko, pero ingon ana ang kung ang process sa HMAC. So naa kay secret key and then napod kay algorithm nga gamiton. Pero pwede na to siya ma-apply, although wala ko naka-example ani manual, na ko example ani nga kanang nagamit nako atong katong library sa Python. Asa nito? HMAC. See. So nagamit ko aning hash library para magamit to nako ang MD5 kani siya ng mga hashing algorithm, and then nagamit ko aning HMAC nga library. So for example, ato siyang i-run. Ay, nagariman na po. Mag-input ta og hello, and then magbutang tag secret key nga kuan Python. So mo ni ang iyahang normal nga hash output. But nag-apply ta og secret key, lahi na dayon ang iyahang output sa MD5. So kagaina di ba mo na to ang output we have here katong MD5 atong gamit kani. So same lang gyapon siya no. And then so sa padakan applyan siya og secret key, lahi na ang iyahang output. Same goes with SHA-1, SHA-2, and SHA-3 nga mga 256. So yun ana ang HMAC mo process or mo hash or mo encrypt og message. So HMAC is an approach for creating digital signatures using different hash algorithms like MD5, SHA-1, SHA-256, SHA-512, or other hashing algorithms. So when should you use HMAC? So nearly every company has sensitive information. So if you take payments of any sort, for example, like you have a credit card data at your fingertips and you have employees, you have social security numbers that could be stolen, but some companies have deeper issues. Now, if you're in a heavily regulated environment such as healthcare or deal with secret trades or trade secrets such as unit munitions, it pays to move past traditional security measures. So HMAC with its dual level or levels of protection could be ideal for companies that need to do a little more to prove that they're protecting their assets as carefully as possible. So I think this was also applied recently in the recent election no katong mga digital signatures nga gigamit nila. So I think they applied HMAC atong approach no katong sa mga kapwa nako mga CCS Tech. So di ba secure kayo ang kanang election, and then there are no hacking penetrations nga nahitabo tungod kay they use this kind of technology. Although they have attempts, but walay successful nga penetrations according to them. Then applications and benefits of HMAC. So HMAC is considered a secure method to authenticate messages because it is difficult to forge. If the potential forger doesn't know the shared secret key, the method is also resistant to dictionary attacks, where an attacker uses brute force to decode their way into a password-protected device by running through common words and phrases in a dictionary. So, nasa yung mga dictionary nga gibuhat, wherein na yung mga words daan dito, and then i-brute force din nila og attack dito sa devices or sa mga accounts. That said, it is important to use a strong and unique secret key to maximize the security levels or the security benefits of HMAC. So since HMAC provides dual level of protection or levels of protection, it is ideal for applications involving sensitive data, just like katong sa election. No, katong na mga votes are very sensitive data. So probably they applied HMAC approach para na ay dual level of protection. Personally, identifiable information or credit card numbers, pwede po na siya dira ang apply. It provides more extensive security than traditional measures, making it suitable for use in regulated industries like healthcare or finance or katong sa katong election no katong recently lang nahitabo. Then HMAC encryption is also suitable for Internet of Things environments, high performance systems like routers, and verifications of a user's email address. HMAC can also be used in security critical applications where public key systems are either inadequate or prohibited. So possible applications include the following. Number one, we have authenticate form data sent to a client browser and resubmit. Then next, generate secure hash or hashes storing passwords. And then generate unique sessions management tokens. So that's all for my report. If you have questions, you can state it in the comment area, and then the next two topics will be discussed by the next presenter. Thank you and God bless.